And welcome everybody to the latest edition here of Driving, Riding, and Pro Tips, featuring pro cyclist Colleen Gulick. Colleen, how goes it?
Going well. Thanks for having me.
And so we wanted to talk about various things here, like the exciting fact that some bicycle racing has started to occur. And thanks for promoting some.
Happy to have it.
Colleen rides for and runs the Pickle Juice cycling team. And while she's not the same cycling team as us, we most of us get along. We don't like dislike each other generally. Plus, everybody's doing very specific things all the time and confusing each other about what we're actually trying to do.
Absolutely.
So, how are things? Are things simmering down at the Pickle Palace? Is it or?
Sure, I like that. Let's keep that. We'll go with that name. Yeah, it's going well. I think it's just like everybody else. Like we're going a little stir crazy. So
Yeah.
It's a lot of training, and we're just happy to have some light at the end of the tunnel with some racing, and we're optimistic that things are going to return to semi-normal soon. But it's just been a lot of base miles and a lot of volume right now.
Right. So now we usually look at things on our channel like the sun like this, but we also have various playlists, and part of the reason of this video's existence is, in addition to our daily space weather videos, there's hundreds of those, we're also doing some nature videos, and not everything's organized as far as our entire set of videos yet, but we've started a new series called Driving, Riding, and Pro Tips. So here's a little bit of, this is just some of the scenery of Pennsylvania here, and so that's the playlist that this will appear in, and it'll also be on BitChute. This doesn't have all the features of YouTube yet, but it's bitchute.com/smAsho. So if you click on playlists, that's one of the playlists that you'll see there, and that'll start to have more stuff. And so one of the things that's going on is Colleen's making videos about how to prep your wheels for racing, and I like this one because the mechanicry of cycling, the higher end your bike gets, the more of a disaster it is to work on it, and every little thing. I mean, I had to change out the screws in my pedal cleats, Colleen, because they were like a millimeter too long, and they were making lumps on the inside of my shoes. This is the kind of stuff you have to deal with,
You're completely right. The more expensive they are, the more finicky they get.
I had valve stem issues, so it's like, for instance, my time trial bike, I have to have short stems for the rear wheel and long stems for the front wheel.
That's interesting. Because you have a disc?
Yeah, because of a disc, exactly. Yeah. So that's the kind of thing you have to deal with, and I was kind of stoked when I was watching this until she brought up rim strips, because when she brought up rim strips, I thought, I have to change out a spoke, and that means I guess I have to re-glue a rim strip or something.
It's tape. You can use it as long as it's a clincher. Then just tape is great. If it's a tubular, then you're gonna have to re-glue the whole thing, which is a pain.
But it's a nice Pedro's Kevlar one, so I should probably reuse the same one, no?
Yeah, go for it.
Anyway, Colleen's got great videos on Instagram and other posts promoting things like pickle juice, and yes, part of the reason I was drinking pickle juice on Saturday is because it's good for your health. So let's talk about endocrine, or how about constant glucose monitoring? I mean, that's a pretty good subject.
Yeah, and it's kind of a big one, and something that, like you said, you've got the mechanic aspect of cycling, and then you've got the physiology aspect of cycling. And I feel like it's kind of rare that people can cross over and be really good at both aspects, because it's a lot to manage at once.
Right.
You almost need a little mini team in order to make that happen. But it's something that actually my coach and I were playing around with last year, and kind of got interested in it just from a glucose meter, so the finger prick one, because I have a really hard time eating while I'm riding. And I also I tend to lose a lot of weight over the summer in racing season.
Yeah, most people do, I think, right?
Right, yeah, I think it's pretty common. But when you get to the end of the season, and then I'm like, okay, I mean, my strength is virtually non-existent. And when you have big races at the end of the year, obviously that's not a good thing.
I guess it's
Uh,
good luck with that sprint. You could climb a lot, but that sprint is not going to be.
and I'm not a climber at all. So there are no road races in my future. If you need a little chainring to go up the hill, then I am in the wrong race.
Okay, that that would explain doing fixed gear races.
Exactly. That's my bread and butter right there.
Yeah, I get that.
So we were kind of playing around with it and found that my blood sugar was so low at the end of the race that it's like no wonder I felt like crap. Like I had nothing for a sprint.
Okay.
And so we kind of started playing around with this a little bit more, and I wound up contacting this company called Levels Health. And after a bunch of conversations with them, it turned into a job where I now write their educational content. So they are a company that uses a continual glucose monitor, which is like what you saw in that photo, that little, it's underneath that sticker, but it's a little device that has been used for ages with diabetics to help monitor their glucose at all points in time rather than doing a bunch of finger pricks. And so they're using it, the Levels Health Company is using it in a non-clinical population to help encourage metabolic health and in terms of athletes and people who maybe are at risk for diabetes that want to kind of increase their good habits and learn more about their physiology.
Yeah, so let me just interrupt you for a quick second.
Yeah.
Thinking of how this would probably pertain to me, I think it would probably turn out to act like a heart rate monitor in a lot of ways, where after you wear it for a while, you probably don't have to wear it very much because you pretty much know the nutrition of, for instance, you understand why maple syrup's better than pancake syrup, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you're continually right. And that's one of the things that we were talking about is it's not an all the time thing, but it could be extremely helpful to like jumpstart some healthy habits and you learn more about yourself. And
Absolutely.
I believe their package is a sensor is good for 2 weeks and then you change it.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. So how do they work? Is it like is there like an electronic thing? Do you have to upload stuff? Does it constantly send a signal, or how does it?
It's actually really cool. Is that okay? So the CGM, the way it's implanted is basically you get. It's so easy, but I wish I would have saved one. But you have like a little dial with the CGM in it, and there's a little needle, but the needle isn't actually staying in you. The needle is just like a guide wire for a filament. So you just like push it on the back of your arm and then just like kind of plop it in. And then the sensor goes in and the filament just sits in the interstitial fluid. So you can't feel it, nothing. And it can store up to 8 hours of glucose. And then whenever you can get on your phone, let's see if I can pull this up. It's a little app that it looks like that.
It sends a Bluetooth signal, or
it does. You literally just hit scan, and then you just go tap and tap it near the sensor, and everything's downloaded.
I see. So and then basically what probably went on with you, because you probably understand something about nutrition to begin with, was you go, oh, if I just did this little thing differently and didn't eat this or did eat this at this time, didn't crash my my levels.
I actually found a few things that I was really surprised about because when you do the glucose meter, just the finger prick, it obviously only gives you a snapshot. Right. So you're not seeing everything. And I found out that my baseline values when I get up in the morning, my blood sugar is so low that whatever I eat it shoots it up and then is metabolized so fast that my blood sugar plummets right afterwards. And that was something that I didn't expect. Like I'm on the very low end of probably not even normal. So just changing eating habits in terms of making sure that I have some kind of protein with a carb in the morning it will level off.
Oh, right. Yeah. Dropping. Okay. And that reminds me of the conversation we were having, because you were talking about the way for high intensity you need to consume carbs. And yeah, I totally get that. But part of the reason why I put comments like that on Instagram is because they're not for you. They're for other people that are reading the comments, because they might not understand the principle. Like, for instance, if you're not going to do high intensity stuff, you don't want any kind of a spike in your glucose level. Well, most likely, if you want to be super efficient. Because, I mean, when I first started messing around with intermittent fasting, I could not believe, after about maybe two or 3 months, I could not believe that I could do a 40-mile ride at like a medium intensity and not have to eat anything. Like
It's crazy.
I would only have like lime juice and salt and water to get a little
That's
bit of.
interesting.
Yeah, there's what is it? Sodium citrate, I believe, is in the lime oil or
Okay.
something like that, and it somehow it like slightly increases the surface area capabilities of water absorption. So you can drink something that's more sugary, you'll have less effect of the Brix ratio on having a nauseous stomach, I think.
Interesting.
Don't quote me on it. I'm not qualified to say this, but you are. So,
I'm going to check it out, though.
yeah, check it out. It's perhaps part of the reason why people tend to order limes in gin and tonics, right?
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I guess. Okay.
Because the tonic also lowers your your body temperature, the quinine.
Interesting. All right, I'm going to look this up.
Kind of weird. Anyway, so yeah, and I think there's some interesting principles there with that glucose monitoring stuff. That people who are not athletes in fact, people who aren't athletes will benefit more than people who are athletes, I would think, right? Because
It depends, yeah, on what you're doing it for. But there's been a lot of people who have been, like you said, that they've done intermittent fasting or they've been doing like a keto type diet where they want to increase their metabolic flexibility. So they want to be able to use fat as fuel rather than constantly relying on a carb diet. And that's great for your health in order to be able to switch back and forth in between fuel types.
yeah, exactly. And somebody was talking about that in the Joe Rogan Experience. Was it Colin O'Brady, the guy that hoofed it across Antarctica towing a 400-pound sled?
Oh my goodness,
I
I
forget who it
didn't
was.
know someone did that. That's kind of
Yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah. He set the world record. He's the only person that ever did it. And interesting factoid about that too is that when you go from the coastline of Antarctica to the geographic South Pole, you go up like 9,000 feet of altitude.
Oh.
It's almost like driving across New Mexico and Arizona.
Oh,
You know,
I had no idea.
yeah, it's really weird, right?
Yeah, that presents some more challenges.
Yeah, but he said when he first got started, he thought he wasn't going to be able to make it at all because the sled was so heavy he could barely pull it because of the snow conditions in that local spot. And he was actually racing another guy. There was another guy who was like, I think he's like a retired British Special Forces, and they were both trying to set the world record by crossing Antarctica on foot with no support. So they had only.
I feel like that's a very special forces thing to do. Like, take whatever it is and then take it 10 steps farther past the extreme and then go for it, race it.
And they both did it, but Colin did it a lot like 5 days faster or something like that. And and then rather than getting picked up, he camped there for 5 days and waited for the other guy. That was very nice.
Oh. Special kind of person to pull that off.
So anyway, so what was the other? There was another nutritional thing? No, or was it just we weren't just talking constant glucose monitoring, were we? Wasn't there another nutritional thing? Athletic performance thing. Well, I don't want to open the window.
Oh, in your chat, you said endocrinology.
Oh, right.
And not in cycling and athletic performance in general.
Yeah. So how did you that's your specialty, right? How did you decide on that? What was your reasoning to take up endocrinology? Because it's a very interesting and again misunderstood thing because tiny amounts of stuff can have very, very large effects, right?
Absolutely. And I kind of got there in a roundabout way. My undergrad degree was in bioengineering and mechanical engineering. And then when I did my master's, I did it on muscle physiology and particularly in women and how muscle contractions work because there's not a ton of research on women.
Okay.
And so I kind of had the mechanical aspect down. I had some experience in the muscle aspect, but I was really missing that hormonal component of athleticism and what makes a good athlete. And I wound up connecting with this professor in New Zealand
Hmm.
who had an opening and was really interested in this, and did research on 6-day cyclists in Holland.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, this is perfect. We've got some athletics, we've got cycling, we've got a high level academic program. And so I went to school in New Zealand for 3 years.
Oh, that looks amazing over there.
Oh, it is. It's gorgeous.
Did you experience any major earthquakes?
There was one earthquake while I was there, but I have been in 4 earthquakes and I've only felt one.
I've never felt any, and I've
Oh,
been in a few too. I was in one at work one time that was significant enough that the toilet water in the bathrooms only seconds later was significantly sloshing back and forth. But I didn't feel it because I was opening an institutional door and walking across a hallway and opening another institutional door. So it happened like exactly in that period of time. I got into the other office and everybody was like, "Oh, what was that?" And
mm-hmm.
I was like, "What was what? I hate this."
Yep.
It makes them seem scarier because I've been in so many and never felt not one single shake ever that I could really identify. And of course, sometimes it just sounds like a truck's driving past. You could have like a magnitude 3 and it sounds like a dump truck driving past with a bad suspension.
Jeez. The only one I felt was in California, and I was at track nationals in the velodrome, and I had just come off a race, and I bent down to change my gear, and I felt it shake, and my first thought was, oh man, I went way harder than I thought in that race. Like, I'm a little woozy. And
Like
then I
your
look
legs were
up and
going to
all the
give
lights
way.
are swinging.
Oh man.
Yeah.
In Carson.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Huh. All right. So yeah, the Pickle Juice cycling team. Who's on the contingent this year? You've got
Elijah.
Elijah
Yeah.
Beatty.
Yeah. She's our token country girl from Iowa. She'll race anything with 2 wheels on it. She's like something ridiculous time national champion, like 20 something. And fat bike and road and cross and track and everything. All around great kid.
Ah.
And Libby Arbuckle we're bummed about this because she's a great rider from New Zealand and now she can't come over because of the travel restrictions.
Oh, I get it.
So she's going to rep us
In New Zealand.
uh, longitude, yeah, virtually, I guess.
Sweet.
But
Well,
yeah,
it's
kind of bummed.
I think a lot of the problems also represent massive opportunities to not necessarily to do things differently, but just to like progress things forward in whatever direction they're going to go.
And there's some interesting creations that have like appeared and been created just by virtue of the necessity of needing to social distance and it's some interesting technology.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've uh, I've got one of those elastomeric masks with the two filters,
Oh yeah.
and I can't wear that to work. I actually really like wearing it as a cyclist because the resistance that thing provides is actual resistance. Plus, I know that I'm not breathing in any kind of pollen or anything. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I could spend an 8-hour workday in knee deep diesel fuel wearing that thing, and I would be fine. But
That's rough.
well, I mean, it's not like I do that,
I know.
but I actually do work for a science company, and I'd actually have to add another filter to it because the exhalation filter on that type of mask doesn't have any filtration. So it's slightly more dangerous than wearing a surgical mask or something. I have no idea,
Huh.
but I don't
Okay.
use it. Although the one day we had a wear your favorite pants day, so I showed up in a full hazmat suit at the end at like in the afternoon.
Oh my
The
gosh, I'm
boss
sure they
said
love you.
the boss said, "What the hell are you doing?" And I said, "Well, they told me it was wear your favorite pants day. They just happened to be attached to this hazmat suit. I had all of the stuff on. I had goggles, like exam gloves, the whole deal.
Oh man, you're really going all out.
It was like 85 degrees that day.
Oh.
I didn't quite faint, but I got close.
Jeez.
So the racing. That's the thing. Oh wait, also you're coaching.
Yeah,
So
that's there's a lot going on right now. So,
so you and Gibby and you coach
yeah,
field hockey. I didn't know you coached field hockey.
yeah, that was my first.
Nice.
Actually, it was my second sport. Ice hockey was my first sport. But
Anybody who's really bad at golf should try field hockey. What do you say about that?
there you go. True. Totally different. It took me forever. I recently started playing golf over the last 2 years.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it took me forever to get the different swing down.
Oh yeah, yeah. You got to have a neutral club head at the point of
Yes.
contact, right? I was
Yeah.
just talking to
And
my
for field
grandfather
hockey,
about
you
this.
muscle it. You muscle the
Yeah,
downstroke so
yeah.
much more.
Right, right.
I was Happy Gilmore and the crap out of it.
Divots are practically encouraged in field hockey, right?
Yeah. 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 So that was, oh gosh, have played field hockey in years, except for with clients. But yeah, went to college for field hockey at University of Maryland and
Nice.
just loved it. So yeah, still coaching that here and there, and it's the podium sports has taken a little bit of a back seat just because there's so much going on right now with
Mm.
the team, and I'm just finishing up putting final touches on my PhD, and then running pickle juice, and then promoting these races, and then work.
Yeah, I know how it is.
Yeah,
I have way too many hats. I don't even have time to wear them all. It's
I hear ya, and it's my own problem. I create this for myself,
Mhm.
but I don't like saying no, so it just
And
blooms into a cluster.
don't you find that you work very well when you're doing too many things at the same time? Why is that?
Oh, it's ridiculous. I literally just had this conversation maybe 2 or 3 days ago
Oh, did you?
where I was in a good place where I had my to-do list was dwindled down to nothing that was in an immediate deadline, and I panicked.
Oh, that's always
Literally,
fun.
I had nothing to do, and it was just such a weird state that I'm not used to. And then 2 hours later, I got a barrage of emails and it was back to normal. But
Well, that's one of the pro tips. One of the things I do on Instagram is I give pro driving tips because I'm I'm also a pro driver. So like in my
okay.
science in my science job, I do administrative work, and I drive. It's probably about maybe 850 miles a week, usually in pickup trucks,
Okay.
and it's basically to administer the testing of the food supply. So I'm one of the only people who has to go and meet with our clients, which requires me to 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 be versatile enough to be in a front office setting. 5 minutes later, be in a loading dock setting, and it's insane. I
You've got
could
a lot. Yeah.
I could wear a suit to work or whatever, and so part of the time that's spent while driving is putting out pro driving tips, and that's part of the reason for this playlist. So, of course, being in good health is smart. Um, if you're if you've got the COVID, or and of course you may want to just focus on your general respiratory health and your general health, because in first world countries, uh, people die of cardiovascular disease. it's
Yeah.
and of course that brings me back to full circle what you were talking about things like constant glucose monitoring and understanding these spikes, because it creates massive inflammation. And
Mm-hmm.
the inflammation is what shuts people down and causes them to go, I'm not going to ride my bike today because it's cloudy.
I love it. I love it.
You know,
The
there's,
stars are not aligned, so you cannot exercise.
what's interesting is I think we have a pretty interesting weekend coming up, because full moon is on July 5th. So werewolves will be out the 4th, 5th, and 6th. And I mean, seriously though, people sleep a little worse, I think, at full moon. If your bedroom is not totally dark, full moon will make you sleep slightly worse.
That'll be me. I wake up if there's light.
Oh, do you?
Yep. Yeah. Noise, I can sleep through anything. But
Oh,
light,
really?
nope.
Well, you're going to have both, probably. You're going to have light and noise, because it...
4th of July fireworks.
Yeah, now that they're legal in Pennsylvania, and I think this is a great misconception about fireworks, right? People think that because they're legal, they can just do anything with them.
I
And
know.
don't throw a water balloon full of gas at the cops and then launch fireworks at them. There are many things you could do that would be very irresponsible with fireworks that are now legal. It's like
Yep.
driving a car's legal, but I can't drive one into a building.
Exactly. Common sense, right?
Yeah.
I had a family member tell me that there were people in her development last week that were shooting them horizontally,
Yeah.
across the street.
Yep.
What genius thought of that idea?
Yeah, this is a thing.
Terrible.
So, and of course now you can buy like 8-inch mortars and things.
You can?
Yeah, you can buy anything in Pennsylvania
I've
now.
never bought fireworks in my life.
I only ever buy small stuff. It's nice to have whistlers around to keep certain nuisance birds away and things, and I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in a suburban neighborhood or something like that, there's a certain scale of fireworks that are okay, and once you get to like about a, I don't know, a 2-inch mortar, it's if you get to those big bottle rockets that are like the size of your whole arm, you might have gone too far.
I just don't trust myself with them. Like,
they're not very reliable.
I would miss a step in the process, and then I would wind up setting my own hair on fire or something ridiculous.
It's very easy to just burn your hand too, just with a fuse. You know, those fuses, they burn hot and fast. You know, even if there's like a flame trail that comes out of that thing. Even the good fuses, you could still burn yourself severely. Anyway, it's very dry too. You know, so it's a good time to burn down the neighborhood and.
Oh, not right now. It's pouring outside right now.
Is it really?
Yeah, it just started.
Where are you located? I'm in like near southeast Allentown, Lehigh Valley.
I'm about 2.5 miles from the track.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So, well, yeah, I guess that's going to be coming our way soon. Although the recent storms we had, I just looked at it like an hour ago. It was moving due north to south, a really bizarre weather pattern. Right?
Yeah, interesting.
You're from around here. You know that's weird.
I am, yeah. Oh, because I know which rides you always have a tailwind on. That's my bread and butter.
Oh, yeah? Nice. Yeah, I've done that. That's been a reason to split off from a Lehigh Wheelman ride more than once.
There you go.
They're gonna try to head back into a headwind, and I'm gonna get back an hour before them and with a tailwind.
Yep.
All right, so yeah, let's promote this race because
Cool.
I have to go shove a bunch of tacos in my face.
Oh, sounds wonderful.
Go to taco night. It's at Ringer's Roost. It's fantastic.
Oh, really? It's like, I thought you meant like at your house. There's a place.
I think it's $3. I think it's $5 for 3 tacos.
Score.
Chicken, bean, or beef. It's from, I think it starts at 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. Ringer's Roost. It's right by the north gate of the fairgrounds.
Oh, no way. That's very cool. All right, I'll have to check it out.
It's not too far from you. It's like a 20-minute bike ride from you, actually.
Yeah, I'm going to ride that's actually not a bad plan. Ride your bike to get tacos and you'll work them off on the way back.
Well, if you look at my Instagram page, you can see what it looks like there because I regularly stop there and open the bar on Sunday mornings because I usually get up at like 1 or 2 a.m. because of doing space weather.
Okay.
And so often I'll stop there on the way back. Becky was trying to get me to do like a 70-miler this weekend, but I was riding my TT bike with a Thompson seat post, and I'm like, I'm going to have to sit on things later today. You know what I mean? I might be able to survive that, and I'm certainly glad I didn't because I rode myself to vomit on Sunday. So that was there may have been some blood glucose problems involved on that day.
There you go. That and the heat will always get you.
Yeah, I know. And by the way, the lime juice didn't save me. I had the lime juice, and.
Well, then throw that idea out the window.
I think it just might have been a little bit too much hot, and I had bad sleep the night before. But anyway, let's not break out the excuse list because we are cyclists after all, and people will accuse us of having an excuse list. Anyway, so yeah, July 5th is the first of the series, huh? That's going to be fantastic.
So every year for the past, I think this is going to be the 4th year. Oh gosh, I should probably remember this. But we have a Pottstown bike race that we put on in downtown Pottstown. And for this year, that's going to be on August 2nd. But we saw that the calendar was basically blank for the whole month of July in terms of racing. So in the last, 2.5 weeks, we threw this together. And it's going to be it's actually around a high school. They have like a 0.75 mile, really well-paved loop around Springford High School.
And there's massive parking, I'll bet, as a result.
Oh yeah, it's perfect.
which is always
And we
key.
can block it off so we don't need any marshals. It's going to be, we actually
Really?
have three separate parking lots.
That
So
sounds
one's
cool.
going to be for parking, one's going to be for like rolling around to warm up, and one's going to be to stage for the start. So we're like socially distancing the parking lots.
Will you
um,
will you be racing in the women's 1, 2, 3?
I will, yeah. Elijah and I will be. So
All
we're
right.
excited for that. We kind of put our race a little more towards the beginning because I learned after the first year, we had our race as like the second to last race. And when you're on your feet running around doing these things all day, by the time we got to racing, we were so shocked that there was no hope.
Yeah,
So,
that's a weird conflict that always happens, and I totally understand where you're coming from there because I used to help a little bit with the organization of the Lehigh Wheelman Association / Team Bike Lines races,
hmm,
hosted by the GM was Chip Bresney back then, and
yeah, I know. I just had an
so
email with him last week. We were trying to figure out, make sure our race dates didn't conflict.
oh nice, yeah,
Yeah,
because like Chip and I always had our differences, but you have to appreciate somebody that's as much of a race organizer as Chip is. He's probably I think Chip might be the largest race organizer in the whole Lehigh Valley cycling mecca of the past, possibly ever. And he's if
he's
you
got that Thursday
if you
crit
count the
series
Thursday
every
crit,
week.
yeah, it's so
Just
awesome.
just racking them up.
So is that has got to start back up soon. I mean, how can that not be a thing?
I
If you
know.
if you're able to have those races, Thursday crits. Of course, you want Thursday crits to exist too. It's like
Oh yeah. Oh, for
it's
training, I
so
would love
good.
that. And
Yeah.
same with the track. That the track actually theoretically could have opened up for racing already.
Yeah,
Um,
you would think.
so
That's
yeah.
that's
So
that's
I
what
don't
I
know.
was confused about that. I didn't know what was going on with it, but whatever,
Yeah.
man. Thursday crits. It's the kind of race where you can go. I got in a I got in a breakaway with Bill Elliston by accident. How do you like that? I didn't even do it on purpose.
There you go. Hey,
It's
that's a good
it's
place to
it's such a
be.
weird race. The one time, one of my favorite Thursday crit stories. There's one about Marty, but one of the ones was I was chatting with Anna Wilson, who is the current women's world 1 hour time trial record holder, and I didn't know who it was. I thought it was a chick with a British accent. And we were talking. We got to lap 3, and right in the middle of a sentence, I had to attack Anna Wilson from the front of a Thursday crit because there were a bunch of people lining up, like Marty wearing a Mercury jersey and all these people, and it's like our club's hosting the event. So and I had to like string this thing out. And I guess from what I heard, she actually won the points race that night, which is bizarre. Like you wouldn't expect that to happen, but I wasn't
Good for
even
her, man.
I wasn't even there expecting to do the whole thing. And I had no idea who it was until like the next week. But then I felt like a complete meathead. But it's like
Oh, it's awesome.
you can't like like oh hi my like you're like name dropping people. Yeah, I'm from New Zealand. Like nobody cares. It's so weird. But my second favorite story though, and of course my favorite one's just me being a meathead, was Marty being a meathead. Because what happened was, I think this was during the Navigators days. So
Oh
like I
gosh.
guess like maybe the mid 2000s or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm on Marty's wheel, and he taps a guy on his right on his opposite shoulder, and the guy looks to his right. Marty's to the guy's left, and he taps the guy on
Hmm.
the shoulder. He gets him, and I'm like, okay. And then he does it again, and he gets the guy a second time, and I'm like, certain people do interesting things in bike races, right? And then something less interesting happened. Marty put his bike in a tiny gear and accelerated to 130 RPMs in terms of pedaling cadence, and then
Hmm.
swerved and like attacked for no apparent reason. I guess he didn't want to be next.
Yeah.
I think maybe he didn't want to be next to that guy because the guy like responded 2 times to the opposite shoulder tap, but it was really weird. I
If
was like, what the?
that's a judgment test.
And like I had to swerve because I was overlapping Marty's wheel, and when he did it, I was like, oh my god!
Hmm.
I'm sure you've
Yeah, the Thursday crits get a bit interesting. You never
yeah.
know who's there for like to actually win the Thursday crits, and some people are there just to sit in, and some are
Mm-hmm.
just they have no idea what's going on.
Yep. I usually attack the sprinters. That's being a TT specialist. I usually try to get on the back of the sprint, and then just accelerate a tiny bit right after all people like you sprint, and then just like be very, very aero and very efficient, and not sprint ever, as if it's poison to me.
Hey, if you can pull it off, all the more power to you.
I've already coasted past the front of the race on a sprint lap just by accident, just because sometimes on that back straight it gets very dead and hot and humid in there, and it's just a bunch of moist air. It's very, very fast, and people will be marking each other and pedaling. And if you're really aero, like if you have a bike that rolls fast, aero wheel sets, things like that, the difference that it made, you're like, why am I coasting past everybody? I guess I should accelerate now. It's weird. Like sometimes the conditions seem to dictate what I'm going to do more than what I feel like doing.
Yeah, that makes sense. You race the course, and then you race the other people in the race.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very cool.
I wonder what Dave Zabriskie would say. So you'll be racing around 11:15 is the expected time on July 5th. So that should be cool. I may have to try to get down there. I don't know. I highly doubt that I'm going to race a crit, but I'll definitely be interested in taking a look at that.
Go. I actually I took a video when I drove the course. So there's somewhere in the show notes, there's a link to a YouTube video.
Yeah, I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
There's a little hill in it.
Yeah, link to it in the comments below the video. When it shows up on YouTube, you'll be able to put comments in there. I'll give you moderator privileges if it's required or whatever.
Oh, the power.
Don't abuse the power. That raw wattage coming straight out of your brain. I've heard that chess players burn 800 watts an hour while playing chess.
Jeez, I don't have that much to give.
It seems weird though. That's like what? That's 8 times what the expected amount we would burn while sleeping is, like about 100. I'm sorry, not 100 watts. 800 calories per hour.
I know what you meant.
I meant calories, not what. Yeah, 800 calories per hour while playing chess. It seems. I guess it's possible.
I guess I have no idea. You gotta hit those brain wheels turning in there.
Hey, maybe you can apply this to cycling. If you can think 2 moves ahead for all the pieces on the board, you can win any chess game except against a computer.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
Just don't race any computers, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so we're gonna get this one uploaded soon. I'm not sure if it'll be tonight. It might have to wait till tomorrow. But yeah, we'll get this uploaded. It'll be basically in the format that you see now, and except I'll be down there in the lower right hand corner also. And so thanks. Anything we missed? Anything you want to plug or anything like that?
I think that's pretty much it. No, I think we covered a bunch of bases.
All right, cool. Well, yeah, thanks again, and I'll talk to you soon, surely on Instagram and so on.
That sounds great. Thanks for having me.
All right, cheers.